Oh. Hi everybody. This is the day we've been looking for. At least I hope it goes as I plan. We've had a pretty busy week. On Monday we had to take the hunters into the woods that you might have seen on our last video, and today I want to finish up picking corn. Yesterday afternoon I think we did 5 loads, and I was hoping to finish it, but just didn't quite have enough time with the other stuff that we have going on. But today all we have is 3 windrows. All we have is 3 rows. And so yesterday I continued to go in with just 1 time around, but this time we'll do a time and a half and just get her done. And so we had pretty good luck yesterday as far as well as can be expected, but I did have some plug ups, and I broke one thing too. I'll show you later when we get back to the crib what I broke. And I also want to talk a little bit about 30 years ago when we moved here, what this field was like and how we handled that situation. And so we'll go back in time a little bit and I'll explain a little bit of history on this farm. So let's go get the job done. We'll start it up and get finished picking. So we bought this farm in 1991 and moved here the first day of April. And we knew we had a lot of work to do. The house had recently been someone attempted to burn it down. It was not in that great a shape. I'll show you a picture here of our house the way it was when we bought it. There was hardly any windows in the place. The front door had a piece of plywood over it and a bird's nest in it. It had been vacant for 8 years when we bought it. We saw the place the first time in September in 1990, and although it was a pretty rough looking place as far as the buildings were concerned, the field of corn behind the barn was just a beautiful, beautiful stand of corn. But as it turned out, I found out later, the corn was planted very, very late that year, and a farmer had leased the field, and he hadn't got to it until it was late, so it was very late to get the corn in, so it never fully matured. So it was such a wet fall, they were going to chop it for silage, but they just weren't able to because it was just so wet. So when we started in the spring, we had this whole field of corn that was no good. I couldn't pick it because it wasn't mature, so we ended up having to plow down about 30 acres of corn. I'll show you a picture of that. This is a view of the field in the spring as I was standing on top of the roof. And this is just more pictures of that field. This is the first time I've actually shut my corn picker off at this end of the field. I've always had enough room to spin, but if I don't, I'm cutting it pretty sharp, very sharp actually. So if I don't shut it off, you can see I've lost some ears my last time around because I had it turned so sharp and I didn't stop long enough for it to completely empty out the picker. There is a lever on here that's busted right at the moment to stop just the elevator from going, which I should have fixed. So that works good when it works, but it's not working right now. So anyways, at the very center of the field, it's always very difficult to get turned around. Now, as it turned out, I actually have this one row, which will be when I come back up through, but the row I need to go into now doesn't start until a ways down. Do you see it?
Kinda.
So it's down there, and so it's going to be a little bit easier to get in there. So I'll spin around with me not running, and then I'll stop it in place and start it up again. Hey, step G. 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 Hopefully I won't knock down too much corn on the corner, and it's surprising how well this wagon follows me. I didn't knock down anything at all, but I got to turn really sharp to get back into the next row. Oh, and I'm actually going to miss a couple stalks, but when I planted it, it was such that I stopped right here, which worked out good for me now. So we'll start it up and head on through. If you look close, you can see how my horses are sharing with each other, going from Bill to Ken to Lady. They're just passing the food right on over. So as soon as the field was dry enough that spring, we went right to plowing that corn up, and we knew we'd put some of it back into corn and the rest we would seed down. But as you can imagine, with the work that we had to do that year, it was difficult to find time to get out there and take too many pictures. But I did find a few pictures of myself plowing and even of my father helping out. I'll show you some of them now. Here's a picture of me starting out on a section of that corn, and I'm using a white horse plow with 4 horses on it. Here's a picture of my father helping out. He had come up to help, and this is 3 horses on the spring tooth. I'm not sure if this last one is a picture of him or myself. So as you can see, we had a lot of work to do that first year, and it seems like we've had a lot of work to do every year since then. But we just keep plugging away at it. A lot of times I feel I should have this field tile drained, and of course some years it's perfectly fine without any drainage. But there's so many years where it's wet that tile drainage would have really helped this field out a lot. But it's fairly heavy clay soil, so I was told that I'd have to have the tiles every 25 feet, and that would run into a tremendous amount of money. And I know people that have actually spent the money and had their fields all drained, but it's put them in such debt they could never recover and actually lost the farm. So I guess I don't regret not tiling it now. As I'm getting older, I will possibly consider doing some sections of tiling. But when I was younger, the money was so short, we hardly had enough money to buy feed. So I just had to do with what I could. We have had some beautiful days lately, and this ground that was so wet earlier has dried out a tremendous amount, but it's still pretty wet in a few spots. Oh! Oh! I don't know if you can hear me, but this is where I stopped. It's a somewhat dry spot, and so I stopped here just to get a little break before they go through the rest of this farm. Oh! 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 Careful, careful. Got an ear caught again somewhere. Should have brought my boots. Okay. we are all done, but I actually have a few stalks right there, and I see the heads popped up again, but that's okay. Can you just pull those couple of ears off? I don't really care if we don't get it all. Give the deer some feed. It's fine by me.
That's it.
Okay.
Get the last ones.
All right. Climb aboard.
What a job you had there. You and the horses.
But it's done. Mighty thankful for that.
Hallelujah.
So let's go unload them. And Brenda said she's been wanting to wash these harnesses, and we chose to wait until we're all done. And now we are. So
They need it.
she can tackle that project, which would be great. Very much appreciate that of her doing that. And so
My pleasure.
we'll go get it unloaded. Okay, we're at the corn crib. As you can see, it's getting pretty filled up, but I want to show you one thing that happened on my corn picker yesterday. This corn picker has these fingers right here. It's supposed to have another set right here. Well, yesterday they broke. I don't know how many loads I was working, what load I was working on when it broke, but I ended up having to take it off. It was actually broke a few years ago and had it welded, and the weld ended up breaking again, so I took it out. And so we only had this set of fingers, and I'm going to have to get this set fixed, but I was able to get the last few loads done without it, and it does a fairly good job of husking it even without those on there. But yeah, they're gone. So now we'll unload this, and I'll show you. You might even be able to see the difference with how poorly it's husked. And then I've got to do some major cleanup, dig all this mud out between these tires and get it all cleaned up and put away for the winter. So as you can see, even in the video, how many more husks are on than there were the earlier loads. But it's still okay, especially since the loads that weren't husked as well are on the top of the crib, so they get more air. So I think won't be quite so much of a problem, and it can handle some of these ears with husk on it, because I've been doing this for a long time, and it seems fine. But as you see, I don't have a lot of room to get this load unloaded, but I think I can get it shoveled in there, and the crib's gonna be pretty well full except for that end down there. I could have put some more in that end if I wanted to, if I had it, but I'm good without it.
Horses are all done picking corn, so I thought they could use a treat. Ken says I'll take it. They love the corn. I usually put it right in their bucket, but they'll take it like that. Lady, you want it in your bucket? There you go. You deserve it. Yes, they can eat it just like this, and they'll pick up the kernels, and it's good for their teeth. The pigs also have been really enjoying it. And Jim in the winter will give them 1 ear of corn per day, and it keeps their teeth smoothed off, I guess. So they seem to be super enjoying it. They're waiting for their next ration of hay. It's late afternoon. They'll be getting fed soon. Thanks for coming along today. We hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of the day.